Am I the a-hole for telling my dad's wife to drop dead in front of her friends and family? Original post. My 17 female mom died a little over a year ago. I was living with her full-time before she passed. She left me a lot of money at her house. Since the house was just going to stay empty until I was done with college, my aunt on my mom's side and I talked about it, and we agreed she would stay there since she's taking care of my grandma and her place was small. I will move back in once I've finished my schooling. My dad assumed my mom left me her money and left the house to my aunt. I didn't correct him because I don't trust my dad nor have a great relationship with him. I am currently living with him, his wife Jan, and her twin daughters, 17, both lovely people, in a 3-bedroom flat. 2 months ago, he found out that my mom left me the house. I'm not sure how he found out, but he did. Since then, I haven't heard the end of it. I'm selfish for making us all stay in a tiny flat. I'm spoiled because I won't share my inheritance. I'm a terrible person for making the twins take out loans. You get the gist. This weekend was the twins' birthday at my paternal grandma's house. Most of my dad's family was there. We get along great usually. His wife's family, and some of both of their friends there along with the twins' friends. After they were done opening my present to them, they asked me if that was really it. I got a matching bracelets with their birthstones, which they both loved by the way. I got quiet, and I asked them what else they were expecting. They said Jan said that I was planning on surprising them on their birthday by telling them we were moving into my mom's house and helping them with college. My grandma asked Jan if this was true, and Jan started in on me again. She asked what she could do to make me stop being a witch, pull my weight, help out and be fair. And I told her she could drop dead. That my mom died for me to get all these things she wanted me to give to her daughters. I said if she wanted everything to be fair, then she should drop dead. And I would share everything I had with her daughters since we would have all lost a mother then. That it would be fair only after that happened. She and my dad started yelling at me. And my grandma and uncle started yelling at my dad and Jan. And everything was pretty much over after that. The whole ride home, my dad and Jan were getting calls and texts from my family and friends, telling them they were disappointed in them. And I was getting texts from Jan's family, the twins' friends, and a few of my own cousins saying I was selfish. I don't usually fight with my cousins, so I'm really starting to think maybe I'm being selfish, and that I went too far at the twins' party. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. A rare time when you can tell someone to drop dead and still be not the a-hole. Can you move in with your aunt? My grandma needs a lot of space right now, and the setup we have now has gotten the best results for her. I love my grandma, but seeing her on the brink of death sends my mind to a bad place. I tried staying the weekend once and I had a panic attack. This makes sense. I'm sorry that you are in this horrible position. Your dad is really letting you down. It isn't your fault at all. There is nothing you could have done differently or changed about yourself to make him behave decently. He is failing as a parent, and it has nothing to do with who you are. I hope you can move into some kind of a safe environment ASAP. Dad expects Opie to share everything like she was a parent to the twins. She is his child. So sorry, Opie. People may be angry with you just because of some misplaced anger. Your father and stepmom brought it by themselves. Their older folks got mad at them. It speaks volumes. Not the a-hole. At 17, I wouldn't have had a verbal creativity or emotional fortitude to so expertly advocate for myself. You are, in fact, a hero for ensuring your aunt has housing security as she cares for your aging grandmother, for standing up for yourself in the face of the emotional immaturity of the adults around you, and for investing in yourself. Carry on, Queen. Thanks. My aunt always says my mom did a great job raising me, and your comment made me think of that. Not the a-hole. You are amazing and owe them nothing. Don't let them manipulate you or guilt you in any way. Your cousins just don't understand, and you can only do and say so much to make them understand. Don't exhaust yourself, because your dad and Jan are selfish and manipulative and poorly planned for the twins' educational future. They are not your responsibility. Not the a-hole. They don't own you. And this BS where Jan made up a story about what you were going to do and then surprised you with it? Incredible. I hope you get out as soon as you can. That made me very mad, especially since she used the twins as pawns. She knows we get along and thought I would just go with it, I think. They haven't stopped apologizing to me since it happened. The twins sound like nice people. Please don't let that BS conflict break you apart. They know that their mom is wrong and is using them as pawns. It's probably a good idea to go no contact with all these people who are yelling and harassing you. You don't owe them anything. Now for the update. Thank you guys so much for the support. When everyone who usually backs you up says you're an a-hole, it's hard to believe you're not. But as some of you guessed, my cousins heard the word inheritance and got greedy, and that's why they sided with them. I was getting texts asking for money from them these past few days. I'm moving in with my grandma on my dad's side. She picked me up this morning and we've been moving my stuff instead of going to school today. The twins talked to their friends and they have texted their apologies. Although I'm not going to pay for their whole college experience, I think I'm going to help them buy books and with living on campus. They have really had my back on this, and that's amazing. I'm going no contact with my dad. He chose her over me, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. I'm glad the twins aren't taking after their mom. Maybe OP will find some extra chosen family with them. His people like the twins who always underscore the fact that there's basically no telling what the kids will be like based on what the parents are like. And you're right, the twins displayed tons of grace in this story. They even have a moment where they screwed up, but then recognized that they screwed up and apologized. I can't imagine Jen ever doing that. Especially because the screw up wasn't even their fault. When they looked expectantly at OP, it was only because their mom was whispering in their ear, and they had no idea it wasn't true. Maybe I'm selfish too, because I think it's nuts that she's giving her inheritance away when she's not even established herself yet. She's got ways to go before she can be self-sufficient. It's sad her mother didn't set up a trust to prevent OP from being exploited like this. I was thinking the same thing about her giving money away too early, but at the same time, we have no idea how much money we're talking about, especially if there was a life insurance payout. It sounds like her mother died young, so a life insurance payout would be pretty substantial on top of who knows what else. And I'm betting that there is a trust, and I'm guessing that the aunt is a trustee, given that OP said she and her aunt decided together on what to do with the house. The fact that her father didn't know about the house suggests that he's not in charge of the inheritance, which in turn suggests that there is a trust, and someone else is the trustee. OP's mother probably knew that her ex and his wife were together a real piece of work, and put precautions in place to make sure that they couldn't get their mitts in anything. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my future stepson to attend my wedding? Original post. I, 30 female, I'm getting married to my fiancé Ellen, 33 male, in December. My fiancé was married to Amy, 34 female, before me, and they had a son together, Jay, 17 male. Amy and Ellen slept together at a party when they were both 16 and Jay was the product of that. They tried their best to make it work for 5 years, but then got divorced as Amy had cheated on Ellen. Now coming to the issue. I met my husband when I was 25 and he was 28. That's nearly 6 to 7 years after his divorce with Amy, but Jay seemed to think of me as the cause of it. Ellen and Amy have decided to not tell Jay about the real reason of their divorce until he's legally an adult. And because of that, he seems to believe that if he pushes his father and mother together, they'll get back together. I have nothing against Jay, but his actions really hurt me and he's so full of hatred for me. Initially, I tried to be a second mom to him, but he didn't like it, nor did Amy, which I understand. So I stopped trying and treated him as a friend instead. But he talks down to me, calls me a homewrecker. And last week, his friends all messaged me harassing me and asking to send them my OnlyFans, which I don't have, since I'm a cheap woman and a lot of other explicit things. This has hit the nail in the coffin for my fiancé. My fiancé is furious at Jay and wants to uninvite him from our wedding, and so do I. But Amy is against that. She thinks I'm being too sensitive and believes that this is normal teen behavior. I don't know if my dislike for Jay is clouding my decision, so please tell me, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before the updates. Not the a-hole, but uninviting Jay is not the solution. He's 17, and Ellen and Amy still haven't told him why they divorced? He is far too old for this behavior to be understandable. If your fiancé allows you to be treated this way now, it will only get worse once you're married. Ellen needs to fix this. Ellen for sure has. He chooses not to believe it. Now if Amy's lying, that's another matter. But he is 17 and she's a completely independent actor. He has chosen to blame her. Logic won't work. It's reasonably like the ex fed this fire. Regardless, kid needs to be told the truth. It may not fix things, but withholding the truth has certainly created a very poor result. Avoiding speculation in this scenario is probably the best for the moment, but this would not surprise me one bit, and is worth keeping in the back of OP's mind just in case. Not the a-hole. He's 17. He's old enough to know right from wrong, and he should know the real reason for the divorce already. He's harassing you, and you're supposed to turn the other cheek? Ellen should have stopped protecting Amy a long time ago. They both enabled Jay to keep treating you this way. Not the a-hole. Honestly, the cheating mother is sort of a side issue. The parents split up and 7 years later his dad meets someone, and now he is mad and calling her a homewrecker? This would be an issue even if there was no cheating in the first place, and they had broken up on better terms. All I'm saying is that revealing the truth won't fix much. His actions and feelings about this need to be addressed at a deeper level, like if it turns his hatred and harassment to his mother, is that a good outcome? Thank you. How did I have to scroll this far to find this comment? Plus, the kid was 12 when OP and his dad met. certainly old enough for awareness of the situation. He knows damn well that's not why his parents split up. He just wanted them to get back together, and now knows that they won't because his dad is marrying Opie. Telling him why they split up won't change anything because it's more about what he sees as the reason they won't get back together. Opie. Edit 1. Hey guys, we scheduled a talk with Amy and Jay tomorrow to look over this issue. We'll update tomorrow if all goes well. Thanks for all the advice and insight. Edit 2. Hey, so I'm going to try to make this not too long, but basically me, Amy, Alan, and Jay had a sit-down talk just about 30 minutes ago. It wasn't going anywhere until Alan burst out about Amy cheating on him. Amy went hysterical and tried to deny any accusations, but eventually agreed. Jay looked confused, but he surprisingly took it well. None expected him to, but he did. He seemed so ashamed of himself. Turns out I was right. Jay didn't believe that I was a homewrecker or anything. He was just jealous and mad that I got with Alan when Alan had money and was rich. Meanwhile, his mom had to go through poverty with his dad and seemed to think of me as some gold digger, even though I also work and earn almost as much as my fiancé. Jay also admitted that Amy had said a lot of messed up stuff about me to him when Alan and I first got together. He apologized for that. He also said that he wasn't aware of what his friends had sent to me, and agreed that while he may have confided in his friends about what his mom said about me, he never asked them to message me. I've never seen Jay look so remorseful. Amy was fuming throughout this ordeal and screaming at Alan and I. Eventually, Alan kicked her out to have a more peaceful convo with Jay. They both exchanged hugs, and for the first time in 3 years, Jay looked happy. Well, that didn't last for long, because after the initial guilt and shock, anger settled in and he immediately moved out of his mom's and moved in with us. He's mad with Alan too, for keeping the secret from him. But not at me, surprisingly. He actually didn't blame me. So I think we might actually be able to be in a more friendly familial relationship. Thank you to you all and your messages. I guess all I needed to do was communicate. Thanks. Edit 3. Turns out you all were right. Jay formally apologized to me today and said that he had been feeling guilty for the past year. Apparently on a camping trip with his girlfriend Maya, 16 female, a few months back, he confided in her about everything that had been going on. Maya was the first one to tell him that Amy sounded toxic, and there was probably more to the story. He said that he'd been asking Amy if there was something that he didn't know about Alan and her, but Amy declined. He also agreed that Amy had been abusive growing up, and had him sleep outside her apartment on days when she was on her period and wanted some time alone. He never thought to come to us, because Amy had portrayed me in such a way that Jay thought I would make a big deal out of it, and Alan would no longer invite him over. Jay looked like he was going to cry saying all this. He apologized and said that he was ready for any punishment, and begged that we don't cut him off. But I told him that it was never my plan, and that we're going to work this out together. I also messaged Maya thanking her for consoling Jay and supporting him. Jay and Alan want to go to court and change Amy's custody to visitation only, but I think it's useless since Jay will turn 18 in a couple of months. The Bye Mom was a little too cartoonishly evil for my taste, and everything wraps up a little too neatly. But all in all, I like this post. I am curious about whether Jay was actually involved in that harassment or not. Obviously, he is going to deny it regardless when confronted by his dad, but I do wonder if he was involved in some way. But regardless of that, this dude needs better friends. I was in a similar situation. Divorced because mother cheated, reason hidden from me, parental isolation with mother saying horrible things, abusive behavior mother as well. For me, it's not cartoonishly evil, but something I also experienced myself. Main difference is that I didn't get an out by living with dad and some therapy, but lost contact with my dad and got severe mental health issues. Now at 40, making progress in therapy while being no contact with my mother for years already. Same. People don't believe things one of our parents did, despite evidence and plenty of people witnessing individual episodes on a regular basis. People who grew up in good homes with loving families never understand these sorts of situations because they never experienced anything even close to them, so they just can't comprehend them actually happening in reality. Amy had been abusive growing up and had him sleep outside her apartment. WTF? Jay said he was scared Opie would make a deal about it. I would have told him, damn right, I would make a big deal out of it. I would have gotten you warm and safe and went to tear your mother a new one. The stepson needed to have his situation put into perspective by 16-year-old girlfriend. She seems like a sensible, grounded person. Sadly, when you grow up in abuse, you don't always understand what's normal. How can you, when all you know is what you experience? He needed someone to point out that isn't normal. There are so many situations I didn't understand were so awful, until other people told me how messed up it actually was.